Welcome, welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. You're watching the Jaybefaunt channel. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. It's so good to see all of you here today. The Jaybefaunt channel is available on all major podcast platforms like Anchor, Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, so you can subscribe to me there. I'm also part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network, so you can catch me on the JB Show on Sundays at 1, Tuesdays at 4 on RBN Live, and at the Savvy and JB Show on Thursdays at 6. Also, if you're new or if you like what you're watching, please make sure to give me that thumbs up, as well as if you are a contributor to either Patreon, Coffee, a member, or if you give me mutual aid through various platforms, thank you. Thank you from the top and bottom of my heart, because I would not be able to do this without you. It is a task. Tell me about it. Let me tell you. Woo, yesterday was. Oof. Anyways, thank you so very much to everyone who's also in the audience that are participating, as well as to anybody who leaves any interesting comments at the bottom as well, because I know we get into some interesting discussions. And a lot of people have opinions. I know I have my opinions. So let me know what your opinions are of the stories that I talk about on this channel, because a lot of times we end up encountering some stories that we may have never heard before. And we're now just getting our fresh perspective based on the things that we're learning. So it's good to see all of you here as well. Now, as per usual, like I always do, I'm going to go to the chat. Is there anybody in the chat? I don't see anything. Let me check. Is there a glitch going on right now on my channel? Let me check, because I want to check and see. Yeah, there is chats on the channel, and for some reason it's not coming in on StreamYard. That's interesting. I can't see the chat. Having issues? Yes. Hang on. All right. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to look directly on YouTube just to say hello to everybody. I cannot post it on the screen for right now. My apologies to all of you, but we shall press on. Right now we have Terry Connolly. Good to see you. Rick Solis is also in the chat. Yeah, I'm not gonna get, well, if I do get a copyright strike, it'll be horrible. But thank you so very much. Wadi is also in the chat as well. Hang on. Also, let me see. Also, good to see you. Wadi is also in the chat. Anthony is also in the chat. Sean Miller, awesome. Good to see you as well. Who else is also in the chat? All right. Yeah, it might be a bug. Who knows? So just please bear with me as I get the chat going. I don't know what's going on, but unfortunately, I can't see it right now. But yeah, so it's good to see everybody here that are watching. But one of the things that I wanted to get on was I was going to. This is interesting. Glitches do happen, but yeah. So in the interim, because I need to communicate with this person, let me see. Oh, let me explain what happened yesterday while this person is working on what they're working on. So yesterday, I went to over the weekend I had treatment at dialysis yesterday, and over the weekend I was pretty busy, and so it was quite a bit to go through. One of the things that I did was I was prepping a lot for the next couple of days, doing readings, things like that on this channel. But I went to dialysis yesterday and I started feeling really weird. I didn't feel the way I normally typically feel. And so because of that, I had to leave dialysis early, which is something I almost never do. And all the years I've been going to dialysis, I've never had to do that. It was very rare. And so I got to a feeling where, you know what? I felt weird mentally. And so I remember back in 2020 when I started feeling something similar, but not exactly the same. Okay. Just give me 1 second. And so I remember that it was because I lacked sleep and rest. So this is kind of a PSA to anybody who may be watching that may be thinking, oh, I can only get a couple hours of sleep. I just need to keep going. If it affects me to the point where I start to feel mentally nervous and anxious, I start to feel weird in your body. Part of some of what we may be feeling also may be a lack of sleep and rest, proper rest. I want to convey to the audience as much as possible, sleep is deeply, deeply important. Unfortunately, because of the system that we live in, they basically want us to be machines. And so machines don't sleep. With that being said, make sure to get some rest. Rest is also something that is absolutely necessary. We live in a society right now that looks at rest and says sleep is for the weak. And then you know that phrase, I'll sleep when I'm dead. That's part of the system that we live in. It makes you think that you are not productive as a person because you do one of the most normal things that a human must do. And so I was running to the point where by the time I got home from dialysis yesterday, and I only had half a dialysis treatment, I slept for 18 hours. Now, because I'm disabled and because I don't have a typical employment right now, technically I'm self-employed, but because I do this channel, but because of that, if it weren't for that, and if I had to work a typical regular job just like everybody else, where would I be? Like, how would I have been able to do that? There's a lot of you who are out here right now that are surviving on minuscule amounts of sleep, and it's affecting you mentally and emotionally. And even the advice I can give you can only take you so far because you have to work to survive. And so my heart goes out to you because even still, I still feel like I need a few more hours. I still don't feel complete. And so, for those of you who are dealing with this, I'm sorry that you have to deal with this. I can give you guys tips, I can give you guys answers, and I can do all that. And it may help some. It may help some. But it's not a true alleviation from the sleep deprivation that we experience and then the onset mental issues that bring it upon us, the issues that we feel emotionally that affects us, and then how it can damage our interpersonal relationships with our significant others, with our family, with our friends, with our professional lives, our educational lives. That's what it does. And so, because of that, this is part of the reason why I advocate against this system because it pushes humans to the brink of destruction each and every single time we try to do something that is contrary to a capitalist system. And then I was talking to Rome the other day, and Rome said something interesting. He said, I'm just feeling lazy. And I'm like, wait. You went and gave water, tons of water, to a bunch of people about a week ago. You're building stuff, you're building benches, you're doing all these different things, and you say you're feeling lazy? No. That is capitalist conditioning. That's capitalist conditioning that is making you think that you resting, that you recovering is somehow bad, that makes you a bad person. I'll be honest, some of y'all work too much. Some of y'all work too much, some of y'all work too hard. And the thing is that it's not that you're working hard for yourself, it's that you're working for somebody else so that they can take the leisure time that you should have. And they have an abundance of it. They have an abundance of this leisure time. They have an abundance of this rest. They have so much of it that they can literally stop working for the rest of their lives and have leisure time for them, for their children, for their grandchildren, for their great grandchildren, for their 3 times grandchildren, for their 4 times grandchildren, and you are still sitting there sleep deprived because of them. And this is why I talk about what I talk about. Because you can't live your life as a human being. Because they want to make you into a machine. Until they can actually get actual machines that will run nonstop without any human intervention, they're going to be sucking the life out of you. And people wonder why I'm anti-capitalist. People wonder why I'm anti-imperialist. Because of the system that it upholds. And so to all of you who are dealing with insomnia, with sleep deprivation on a constant and consistent basis. I'm sorry, and I hope that me speaking on these things to change this system at least gives you some semblance of hope. Because I notice, like, to get to a point where you're so exhausted that you start to feel like you're going through a panic attack, where you feel like you're scared and you don't know why. That's how exhausted I was one time. And to feel that, you don't deserve it. So for now, I don't know. Just keep holding on. That's the best you possibly can. So yeah. I just wanted to give you guys that, and that was my day yesterday. And I feel better today, thank. And I don't have tea today to drink because um, I'm taking a break from drinking things that caffeine that pushes you to stay awake and more alert. I have my regular smoothie, but I didn't put. I typically, when I make my smoothie, I put tea as well. But this time I said I'm just putting water in my smoothie, and that's all I did. And so just keep. I didn't even put matcha. I just did straight smoothie because we have to allow our bodies to rest and take a break, and that's also important too. So yeah. So I am not able to see the chat at the moment, but if we can get this resolved, then I'll be able to go through the chat and say my hellos more properly. But in the meantime, one of the things I'm going to do is we are going to react to this for the primary 2024. So there's a viewer by the name of Neil's Algorithm, and Neil's Algorithm has been messaging a lot of us, at least I know in RBN, about viewing and reacting to this video. It's forced to vote. I already watched it. However, I want to view line by line what is stated here and where I agree and disagree, because it's important for us to have dialogue and be able to see different perspectives and to gauge, you know, where they fall within our opinions based on, the facts that we know and whatnot. So I'm going to be reacting to this, and I'll be stopping in intervals to give my opinions. But just know that this person did work hard on this, and so we want to give them the support and the respect that they deserve. So I just like to give just my facts, my facts, my opinion on this presentation. So let's go.
The catchphrase, what that was all revenue not be televised. That was about the fact that the first change is in your mind. You have to change the way you live in the way. So when we said that the revolution would not be televised, we were saying that, like, that the thing that's going to change people is something no one will ever be able to capture on something. It must be something that you realize, I'm on page, or I'm on the right page, but I'm on the wrong note. And I've got to get in sync with everyone else to understand what's happening in this country.
It's time we fired these two. Joe and Kamala's rule these major issues on hold. I'm Neil. Please forgive my mask. God might kill me if this works. I'm a former Bernie Sanders. In 5 minutes, I'll show how a candidate we choose can be president in 24 for free. For any lefty, finding another election is difficult.
I'm super excited. It was really tough. It was fun. Enjoyed it. It was a different ball game, but
Lots of money went into the Bernie kids, only to have hope corrupt by corrupt media, a corrupt party, and Bernie himself. Also, president. But without immediate mobilization, corruption continues. To win failed elections, we need an online campaign run by people, not a politician. We must learn what's required to get our candidate on the ballot, or it's too late. Campaigns traditionally run behind closed doors and cause torture. Join me on this channel, and we'll run a free online people's campaign against the sitting president. His forced primary 2024. Joe, uniquely unpopular. The Democratic primary of 1980, when Ted Kennedy challenged Jimmy Carter 42 years ago. A sitting Democratic president hasn't been seriously contested. Clearly, to do so, nobody knows how. Ideally, Bernie would stand up and challenge Joe, but he refuses.
Bernie says he will support Biden re-election bid and will not run against him. Bernie said on Monday that he would support a re-election bid by President Biden if he decides to run for another term.
As do others.
I just want to ask about President Biden. He is saying he's going to run again in 24. Will you support him?
You know, if the president chooses to run again in 2024, I mean, first of all, focused on winning this majority right now and preserving a majority this year in 2020. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think if the president has it, that's something certainly we're all willing to entertain and examine when the time comes.
That's not a yes.
Yeah, you know, I think we should endorse when we get to it. I believe that the president's been doing a very good job so far, and you know, should he run again, I think that I think it's we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Him abandoning us is kind of bullshit, though. Going from not me, us to definitely not me. It had me asking, so what, Bernie? We just accept no progress on our major priorities?
One of the first things I want to point to is some of the things that are on this list as considered a priority. It says Medicare for all, cancel student debt, fight 15, which I think that 15 that ship has sailed. We shouldn't even be pursuing 15 anymore. But I think I know what they mean by living wage, basically. Police reform now. In my case, is defund the police on the road to abolition. Keep your laws off my body. So that basically body autonomy, legalize marijuana, and at the bottom it says reparations. So that's just to give you guys clarification on what that also says as well.
Of course not.
No way. No way. What is this garbage?
To achieve progress, we must face the major problems. We won't pass things under this administration or party. We don't yet have a leader, and whoever we choose must overcome familiar roadblocks from recent elections. Third, but most important, we must act immediately to defeat a corrupt president. Candidacy announcements are long overdue.
Now, to the second problem, I don't even know if it's wise to even have a figurehead, a particular person leading, because the thing is that once that person goes, then how's the movement? How does the movement move? See what I mean? It's one of the questions that I have. You know, what's the purpose of even having a leader if the leader either ends up like JFK, Martin Luther King Jr., or Malcolm X? Or what if that leader ends up shifting and going into a different direction that's outside of the realms of anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, and going towards corporations? So that's the only thing, you know. I don't think that we should have a singular leader, but let's continue.
Trump's already announced.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
so we're obviously late. Some disagree with running through a party that shot twice, and I can
do.
agree with that perspective. Additionally, it's unclear. Bernie stated it. We'll solve these problems and disagreements in a series of weekly live streams by gathering the left on this channel, deciding together through audience-led discussions and voting who our candidate is, do we run inside or outside the party, and what our campaign fights for. Lastly, we'll contact our candidate to ask they run and offer campaign support.
So that suggestion sounds like a socialist alternative. It sounds like to me, because that's what they do. The only difference is that they don't go through the Democratic Party. They go independent. So I mean, as far as that's concerned, Socialist Alternative already does that process. In fact, we actually spoke with Socialist Alternative during the activist summit. Shama Samwat was also part of that discussion, and she did not nominate herself. They nominated her, and they asked her. She was not in pursuit of politics. And so, with that being said, that part I do agree with. It's coming together and choosing someone, but it also has to be done democratically, as you stated before, which I also do agree with, because it needs to be done through a democratic fashion of who we choose to do it. Because a lot of times I get a little bit of an iffy feeling when people decide, oh, I need to run because I feel like I need to be the one to do this. Which, in a sense, is like admirable because you feel like things need to change, things need to get better. But also, unfortunately, we also have a lot of people who view politics as a career, and being said, they're in it because of career ambition, or they may start off good, but then they continue by having career ambition, which I do attribute to some people, especially progressives, is that they had the ambition to just be a servant and just do their job. But then they saw the money, they saw the accolades, and they saw the benefits, and they continuously made it into a career. Also, they saw after 5 years, they actually get an automatic pension no matter what. So, yeah, so that's, but I'm with you so far. But going through the Democratic Party, that's where I'm kind of, let's continue.
What issues our campaign fight for. Lastly, we'll contact our candidate to ask they run and offer campaign support. You can be pivotal. By helping us attain what Bernie lacked in the past, enough awareness for our campaign against Joe. Launch this channel to 1 million subscribers, following our motto, if you agree, share ×3. This is our petition, and it'll help us beat the media that refuses to cover our candidate. The deadline is March 1st, 2023. We must meet it, because I wouldn't like raising false hope that we're all new against Trump. A deadline.
So, 1 million followers by March 1st. Let's continue.
Ensures we waste nobody's time. To meet our goals, the following streams will cover final steps people must take. On the actual, getting our candidate on the actual 2024 ballot, we meet our goals.
Okay, so the goals here says surpass 1 million subscribers by March 1st. Choose a candidate, make contact with them, and then get them to say they'll run. If it's outside the Democratic Party, that's more of a support from me. But within the Democratic Party, let it finish.
The following streams will cover final steps people must take: getting our candidate on the actual 2024 ballot and registering to vote in the primary that year to unseat Joe.
You son of a bitch! I'm in.
Our first weekly live streams will air at 8 p.m. Central Time on Saturdays if this petition/channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. Please email me at this address with subject line live streams if you'd like to speak one day. Right now, it could be just us, but perhaps we're a small community or even a tsunami collaborating to rebuild that Bernie far from the past. Subject line Avengers. You're a journalist with an audience on YouTube or Rumble who may want to spread awareness for our cause or join a live stream. And that's it. If you want these changes implemented and a president aligned with your views, then let's do this. Let's finally address the left's concerns and change the country through our screens. Once we have the presidency, we can set our sights on the Democratic Party, but I'll save that for later. Let's start with the top, then work our way down. Join this movement. I'm excited to speak with you one day. And remember, if you agree, share ×3.
So one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and going through the Democratic Party and beating Joe in a primary, it is a unique idea. Hang on. Let me see. Oh, hang on. Okay. Okay. So, unfortunately, I can't see. I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to see about getting comments next time. But I had I can't believe I closed that tab. I had this up earlier. Let me see. Oh wait. Wait, is this it? Yeah, I think so. Oh, please don't give me a damn it. Stupid paywall. God, I hate these things. Okay. I'll just share it anyway because so you guys can see the screen. Even though it's a paywall, you guys can see. So this happened in 2016. I'm sorry, in 2019. It says Stop Sanders, Democrats are agonizing over his momentum. This was actually an article that actually spoke about how a bunch of Democrats actually found out about Bernie running again in 20. He's going to run again in 2020. In January of 2018, they actually organized and had a meeting in New York. This is with people like Hillary Clinton, Buttigieg, many people within the Democratic Party, and then to stop Bernie Sanders from actually running or winning. So with that being said, anyone who is slated to run as a Democrat that is to that fervor, to that far to the left as Bernie was. Number one, they will do that as an apparatus. Number two, we got to remember that the Democratic Party is a private organization. They are not a bureaucratic entity, meaning that I don't care if you were to actually push somebody into the Democratic Party and they were to become super popular. Guess what? They're going to do to Bernie just like they do to whatever candidate that is proposed what in this video, somebody that's chosen by the people, somebody that's pushed through. Even if they're the second to the last candidate, they're going to make sure that Joe Biden or whoever the Democratic Party wants to be their candidate. And so while I do have an agreement with the thought, well, maybe if we just choose somebody ourselves and then have them run, it's kind of like outside the purview of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party still runs the machine. And so, unfortunately, I don't agree with going through the Democratic Party because the problem is that they are just going to shut it down anyway. And also, I think one of the issues is that we try to play the short game a lot, basically meaning in 2 years, president, and then we can work on everything else. And it's like, maybe we're going the wrong direction. Maybe we should have been going bottom up instead of top down. Building a base of anti-capitalists, anti-imperialists on the county, city, aka municipal, and state levels, and try to get them as much within local power and local politics as possible. Sabby talks about this a lot, about doing it local first. And so if you know somebody that is third party, if you know someone that is independent, that shares these anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist ideals that want to run locally, I don't care if it's for school board, dog catcher, it could be comptroller, it could be, it could be city manager, whatever. But they have more of a direct influence over your life in that respect. So, in my humble view, I think that going local through third or independent, as well as raising up as much organization as you possibly can, do this through mutual aid, do this through different types of organizational efforts to help improve the material conditions of people. Like, for instance, like what Rome does with Tour for the Poor, do like what Casey Timmons does, the organization that Nick likes to promote. Because unfortunately, what is going on is that we're constantly told, well, these are the only two routes that you can go. And it's like, well, we can go a third route. But the problem is we're constantly being told, and we're constantly having that route blocked. So the only other thing I think of really is either a general strike or a revolution. And to be honest with you, I'm actually at a point right now where I'm looking at general strikes and I'm like, that's the last ditch effort. And I'm at a point right now where revolution is starting to look a lot more of a possibility. Because unfortunately, the way things are looking right now, the oligarchs are not going to, how can I put this without being flagged on YouTube? the oligarchs and the powers that be are going to fight this to the end. And by end, you know what I mean. They're going to fight this to the end. And the question is, are we willing to fight this to the end? Because for many of us, this isn't just a 2-year, 4-year thing. I'm not saying that about the presenter Neil's algorithms video. Not saying that. But what I'm saying is, for us, we have to have just as vigilant of a resolve, just as zealous of a resolve as they do, if not more than they do. Because if they're willing to clench their power as much as they are, then guess what, baby? We got to have a bigger resolve to take it back, to seize that power, so that everybody can have a decent standard of living, so that everybody can have housing, everybody can have healthcare, everybody can have education, so that we're not going abroad to extract resources out of a disenfranchised people, out of an overly exploited people, just so that a few people at the top can have more than everybody else. Unfortunately, one of those vehicles that they use in order to do that is through the Democratic Party. They do it through the Republican Party too. So while I do applaud the enthusiasm and the desire to want to change things, as far as this strategy is concerned, I don't necessarily agree. If that is your drive, is to go through that party. Now, if it's through a third party, then yeah, I mean, cool. Or an independent, then yeah. But the other thing, part of your goal was 1 million subs by March. That's a challenge. That is a major challenge. I'm not saying it's impossible, because I've seen some crazy shit happen in life. But it is a major challenge, and the thing is there's a lot of us that when we hear go to the Democratic Party, we're like, sorry, because we're burned. We're burned by them. And we've seen what happens with the progressivism squad. And so a lot of Democratic reformists may be on board. You know, the TYTs may be on board. The Mike Figueredos might be on board. The David Doles might be on board. You know, the Vouchers may be on board, maybe. But the thing is that these are some of the same people that want to still keep capitalism in place. They just want to put reins on it. Somebody like me is like, no, destroy capitalism with fire. Destroy it. It no longer suits humanity and it is destroying us. And the Democratic Party is a capitalist party. So, unfortunately, I can't put up the comments in the chat, and I'm sorry. But I just want to thank Neil's algorithm for making this video, and throwing ideas out there, so that we can have a better world. And I do appreciate that. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes bandwidth, both mental, emotional, and physical bandwidth, in order to come up with these ideas and to put them together and put them out there. So I just want to thank you for that. And just because I may have a disagreement about this particular strategy doesn't mean, still not in community with you and still not, wanting to fight with you. And so, thank you very much for this. And so, um, you know, I hope that you get, look, if you can get there, hopefully, there's a lot of people who are sympathetic. And look, I honestly, if this could happen, if it could happen in the best possible way that I can think, shit, I'll come up on here and I'll say I was completely wrong. And I actually want to be wrong. Oh gosh. I can't tell you how many times I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong so bad about so many things. And so I hope that though my disagreement is incorrect. So I think that there are so many people who have a drive to want to change the world in a positive direction. I think that's beautiful. And I just want to thank you for that, Neil's algorithm. Thank you so very much. I'm looking at the chat on YouTube. Sorry, guys. I can't see. Oh, is it choppy still? I see. I scrolled up. Why you said it was choppy? Yeah. If it's still choppy, then please let me know. I kind of want to leave and refresh and then come back in, but I'm afraid if I do that, it'll end the broadcast. So I don't want to do that. So yeah, I don't want to have to make it a whole brand new one. You guys try to migrate over because that's just too much. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the next story. And oh, Uncle Warren's on. Good to see you, Uncle Warren. Good to see you. All right, so let's move on to the next story. I wish I could go to your comments, man, but I'm sorry. I apologize. But we shall press on. So there is this came across my view, and I was like, that makes sense. So this is actually out of the Scientific American. Oh, by the way, I have Neil's algorithms video is pinned in my comments. So if you guys want to give that video a look yourself as well and go over it yourself, then it's also in my description as well. Just to let you guys know. So this is out of Scientific American, and this is actually an interesting article. It actually talks about how wealth reduces compassion. So this is really interesting. This is actually written by Daisy Grewal. This was actually in April of 2012. So this is 10 years old. So if you ask somebody like me, or if you ask somebody like CJ or Nick or Savvy, you can ask people like Misty Winston. You can ask Roger Waters. You can ask Danny Haifong, or you can ask Margaret Kimberly. You can ask any one of us, and we would be like, no shit, Sherlock. I love that saying. Oh God, that's one of the most best sayings that white people in America have ever said. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. No shit, Sherlock. I love that. Anyway, it's fun. So the article, it starts off. Oh, hang on. Let me enlarge this just a little bit. 1, 2, 3. All right. Boom. All right. It says, who is more likely to lie, cheat, and steal? The poor person or the rich one? It is tempting to think that the wealthier you are, the more likely you are to act fairly. After all, if you already have enough for yourself, it is easier to think about what others may need. But research suggests the opposite is true. As people climb the social ladder, their compassionate feelings towards other people decline. Berkeley psychologist Paul Piff and Datcher Keltner ran several studies looking at whether social class, measured by wealth, occupational prestige, and education, influence how much we care about the feelings of others. So this is also very interesting as well. Actually, hang on. I wanted to open that in a different tab. So I want to keep this up. JB, don't do that. Okay. Oh, come on, knock on my door. I'll be waiting for you. Okay, we'll get that back to that in a second. Okay. In one city, Piff and his colleagues discreetly observed behaviors of drivers at busy four-way intersection. They found that luxury car drivers were more likely to cut off other motorists instead of waiting for their turn at the intersection. It was true for both men and women, upper-class drivers, regardless of the time of day or the amount of traffic at an intersection. In a different study, they found that luxury car drivers were also more likely to speed past pedestrians using a crosswalk even after making eye contact with the pedestrian. It says in order to figure out whether selfishness leads to wealth rather than vice versa, Piff and his colleagues ran a study where they manipulated people's class feelings. The researchers asked participants to spend a few minutes comparing themselves either to people better off or worse than themselves financially. Afterwards, participants were shown a jar of candy and showed that they could either take home as much as and told that they could take home as much as they wanted. They were also told that the leftover candy will be given to children at a nearby laboratory. Those participants who had spent time thinking about how much better off they were compared to others ended up taking significantly more candy for themselves, leaving less behind for the children. A related set of studies published by Keltner and his colleagues last year looked at how social class influences feelings of compassion towards people who are suffering. In one study, they found that less affluent individuals are more likely to report compassionate feelings towards others on a regular basis. For example, they are more likely to agree with statements such as, I often notice people who need help, and it is important to take care of people who are vulnerable. This was even true after controlling. This is true even after controlling other factors that we know affects compassionate feelings, such as gender, ethnicity, and spiritual beliefs. The second study, participants were asked to watch 2 videos while having their heart rate monitored. Just one second. Wait, that was a. Oh, hang on. Why did I get this? Oh, never mind. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. One video showed somebody explaining how to build a patio. The other one showed the other showed children who were suffering from cancer. After watching the videos, participants indicated how much compassion they felt while, damn it. Sorry about that. The other showed children who are suffering from cancer. After watching the videos, participants indicated how much compassion they felt while watching either videos. Social class was measured by asking participants questions about their family level of income and education. The results of the study showed that participants on the lower end of the spectrum with less income and education were more likely to report feeling compassion while watching the video of the cancer patients. In addition, their heart rate slowed down while watching the cancer video, a response that is associated with paying greater attention to the feelings and motivations of others. So it's interesting how this shows, but how people are feeling compassionate towards others on a lower socioeconomic spectrum. It kind of makes me think about what is empathy, right? And empathy was taught to me growing up as feeling your pain in my heart, right? That being said, if you don't know what it's like in order to feel that, it's a lot harder for someone to it's a lot harder for someone to feel that compassion and empathy because they just don't know what it feels like to do that. And so, unfortunately, you got a lot of people who will look at others and say, just pick yourself up by your bootstraps. What's the matter with you? And the question goes, well, did you pick yourself up by your bootstraps? A good chunk of people who are affluent actually never have because they never had to. And the people that did pick themselves up by their bootstraps, I hate to put it to you, but you're the exception, not the rule. The system is designed to cherry pick people from the poor just so they can say, see, they made it, when in all actuality, it's not designed for everybody to make it. The system is literally designed to keep people poor so that a small modicum of people can be rich. All right. So this gives a more deeper explanation. It says, but why would wealth and status decrease our feelings of compassion for others? After all, it seems more likely that having few resources would lead to selfishness. Piff and his colleagues suspected that the answer may have something to do with how wealth and abundance give us a sense of freedom and independence from others. The less we have to rely on others, the less we care about their feelings. This leads us to being more self-focused. Another reason has to do with our attitudes towards greed. Like Gordon Gekko, upper class people may be more likely to endorse the idea that greed is good. Piff and his colleagues found that the wealthier people are more likely to agree with statements that greed is justified, beneficial, and morally defensible. These attitudes ended up predicting participants' likelihood of engaging in unethical behavior. Bernie made off anybody? This is an interesting sentence. Although greed is universal in human emotion, it may have the strongest pull over those who already have the most. This is very interesting because when you look at this, it goes into really when you think about the billionaires, when you think about those who have the most wealth. Let me share the study here. Let me see if I can go and all right, hopefully that'll work. So it goes to show that when you look at people like Elon Musk, whether you look at Bill Gates, whether you look at, oh gosh, what's his name? Uh, Hell, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, all these different billionaires, right? You look at them, they constantly keep going up in their wealth. It doesn't stop. They keep increasing, right? If I had $1 billion, and that's more money than I can ever imagine, I and my children and my children's children will be taken care of for the rest of their lives. Why would I keep going and accumulating wealth? I already have a finite amount that will last us for hundreds of years, living well. But for them, it's not enough. You see, the point is to own everything. The point is to have everything. The point is to own every one. I'll say it again. The point is to own every one. Unfortunately, because of the type of culture that we have, the type of system that we have, you have people who think in some way, shape, or form that they're better, whether it's religious, whether it's ego, or in any other way. They think they're better. And because of that, because if you think that you're so much better than someone, then you automatically start to think, well, I know better, then I should be the one to determine how society operates, how it should be done, instead of it being chosen collectively by all. It is chosen by a small few who live in their echo chambers and say, this is how the world should be ran. They're all less than, they are all lower. Then you start to otherize people in your head. Then you start to look at other people as they don't matter as much. They are subservient to the rest of us. And when you start feeling and thinking that they are subservient to the rest of you, this is how oppression and repression happens. So you have a bunch of people who are at the top where their mom and dad said, you're the best person in the world and you're the greatest, while making them think everybody else is less than. So now they actually feel that way, and they feel like, well, praise me, pay, work for me. And that's where we're at. That's the capitalist system. And then they look at people who are of different backgrounds and they start to look at them as less than and otherize them. Guess what? Then this is when you get genocide, racism, imperialism, xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia. That's part of it. It's also part of the reason why they actually don't want to allow us to have a variety, because then that means that they're not accumulating as much or as fast as they would like to. That's part of it. I'm going to try to read the comments here on YouTube, but I apologize. What he says reminds me of Piketty's book, Capital and Ideology, what makes their class and various ideologies like feudalism and capitalism justify the inequities in their systems by saying the elites earned it. Yeah, they earned it. Yeah, right. Actually, I can share my screen. Hang on. Duh, JB. Hang on. There's ways around stuff, right? All right, hang on. All right, can I enlarge? Yes. Okay. Bryce said if you had $1 billion, you'd be them. Yeah. Kona Ursa says the more you have, the less dependent on others, increased selfish behavior. Does make sense. Desert Mantis says if I had $1 billion, I'd donate to you. I wish I did this earlier. My apologies, everybody. Okay. Wabako Lin says, yeah, I recommended the October Revolution and tactics of the Russian communists in 1923, the party's task. Okay. Talking to him. Yumeno says, if I was rich and had an inheritance from my family, I'd make it come with a conditional contract that says they need to do 5,000 community service hours per 10,000 received. Oh, man. Okay, cool. John to Emily, good to see you. Red Rebel says, it's those with a huge void inside that feel enough is not enough. Yeah, that's also very true. Good to see you, Jenna Colby, Cape Socialist. Good to see you as well. Optimism of the Will says, I just finished Marxism and Anarchy. Cool. All right. Recommend that to someone reading Stalin. Yipper says, if I had billions, buy my own governor. A few people had the same idea. All right. So, and let me check on Rockfin just to see any more comments. Not as of yet. Okay. But that was a very interesting article. But really, it just confirms what a lot of us thought a lot of time. I mean, hell, go back to the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts. Go back to the old money here in the United States, and they continuously tried to build and build and build. They didn't just stop and say, okay, I've made enough. I'm just going to rest and let the rest of the money that I have stockpiled take care of me and maybe my kids and grandkids for the rest of our lives. That's it. We don't need to earn anymore. And it's like, okay, cool. But no, it's constantly more and more and more and more and more and more. And the thing is that here's the problem with capitalism. Capitalism is a system, an economic system that requires infinite growth on a planet with finite resources. This is a system that says in order for you to stay sustainable, you have to make more the year prior than what you did this year in order to survive. And then it pushes other people in order to follow the same model, because if they stay stagnant as well, then they will decrease in their value. They will decrease in their living expenses because the value of things will go up. But the thing is that who's determining the value of things going up? Well, it's people constantly wanting to add more. That's the problem with it. And it's controlled by a small group of people who just wants to own everything. Well, let's go to my next story. And this one was interesting. Oh my God. This thing, I had it, and now it's making me do see, this is why I can't stand the paywalls. I heard there was a site that you can get past the paywalls. I forgot what it is. what's that paywall site? Let me see. Oh, okay. Hang on. You are not getting in the way of me doing a story. Hang on. I think I may have found it. How to do it. Perfection. Found it. Okay. All right. Let me. Toot toot. Peep peep. Toot toot. Peep peep. Toot toot. Peep peep. All right. Let me see. Hang on. Where? Got it. Okay. Okay. So this is out in the New York Times. It says thousands of teens are being pushed into military's junior ROTC. I want you guys to start thinking about the kids. Think about your kids now. Think about your nieces, your nephews, your grandkids, your little brothers, your little sisters. Start thinking about them. It says in high schools across the country, students are being placed in military classes without electing them on their own. Quote, the only word I can think of is indoctrination, end quote. So this came out on the 11th. Says on her first day of high school, Andrea Thomas looked over her schedule and found that she was enrolled in a class with an unfamiliar name, JROTC. She and other freshmen at Pershing High School in Detroit soon learned that they had been placed into the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, a program funded by U.S. military designed to teach leadership skills, discipline, and civic values and open students' eyes to an idea of a military career. In the class, students have to wear military uniforms and obey orders from an instructor who are often yelling, Miss Thomas said. But when several of them pleaded to be allowed to drop the class, the school administrators refused. They told us it was mandatory. JROTC programs taught by military veterans at some 3,500 high schools across the country are supposed to be elective. And the Pentagon has said that requiring students to take them goes against its guidelines. But the New York Times found that thousands of public school students were being funneled into the classes without ever having chose them, either as an explicit requirement or being automatically enrolled. Isn't this crazy? This sounds like a draft. Real talk. Can we talk? This sounds like a draft. It sounds like, oh, well, you guys don't want to go into military service? All right, we're going to force your kids into at least looking at it. It's like, imagine going to school every day, or I think with certain block schedules every other day, but imagine having to spend hours and hours each week having military in front of your face. Military. Have you considered going to military? Military service, military, housing, education, healthcare, military, all up in your face, day in, day out for at least a semester. Can you imagine that? And you can't opt out. You can't say, no, I don't want to do this. Can't say, not for me. You can't. You have to. You have to be subject to this, even if you don't want it. Let's continue. A review of JROTC enrollment data collected from more than 200 public records requests show that dozens of schools had made the program mandatory or steered more than 75% of students in a single grade into the classes, including schools in Detroit, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Oklahoma City, and Mobile, Alabama. A vast majority of the schools with those high enrollment numbers were attended by a large portion of non-white students and those from low-income households. Of course. Of course. Look, is it any surprise that they're trying to push low-income kids to be in the military? Is it any surprise that you can't do that in the more affluent schools? You can't go into private schools and with these rich kids and try to push them into the military. Oh, no, 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 no. These rich people, they will not have their kids being cannon fodder. Absolutely not. No, no, no. Let's push all children to be the captains of industry. Let's push all children to be the masters with the whip, not the slaves that fight in all wars. Absolutely not. No. And guess what? They're getting all types of black, brown, and poor white kids in order to go into the military just so that they can blow y'all to bits, just so that they can make more profit. And this is what's going on at the hands of not just the military industrial complex, but even school districts in your country. Are you outraged yet? Do you have teenagers? Do you have a kid that's in high school? Have you looked at their schedules? Let's continue. The role of JROTC in U.S. high schools has been a point of debate since the program was founded more than a century ago. During the anti-war battles of the 1970s, protests over what was seen as an attempt to recruit high schoolers to serve in Vietnam prompted some school districts to restrict the program. Most schools gradually phased out any enrollment requirements, but 50 years later, new conflicts are emerging as parents in some cities say their children are being forced to put on military uniforms, obey a chain of command, and recite patriotic declarations in classes they never wanted to take. Quote, if she wanted to do it, I would have no problem with it, said Julio Meja, a parent in Fort Myers. That's not too far from me. That's, south. That's where the hurricane hit, actually. He said his daughter had tried to get out of a requirement of junior ROTC class in 2019. This is 2019, y'all, when she was a freshman and was initially refused. She says she had no interest in a military career. She has no interest in doing any of that stuff. The only word I can think of is indoctrination. So they're saying that it's for leadership. It's helping kids become better, more disciplined. It says, but critics have long contended that the program's militaristic discipline emphasizes obedience over independence and critical thinking. Yes! Compliance! That's the name of the game. That's what our school system is all about. And they see ROTC as, well, maybe we should be more like a military school. This is interesting. It says the program's textbooks, the Times found out, at times falsify or downplay the failings of the United States government. And the program's heavy concentration in school with low income and non-white students, as some opponents said, helps propel such students into the military instead of encouraging other routes to college or jobs in the civilian economy. So, why are they doing this? Why? Well, let's take a look at it. You're struggling. They're struggling. This is out of NBC News. It says every branch of the military is struggling to make its 2022 recruiting goals, officials say. With a record low number of Americans eligible to serve and few of those willing to do it, it is the year we question the sustainability of an all-volunteer force. So if they're not going to, they can't get enough volunteers, then guess what they're about to do? Here's one of the reasons they say. It says the pool of those eligible to join the military continues to shrink, with more young men and women ever disqualified for obesity, drug use, that includes weed, or criminal records, that also includes weed. Last month, Army Chief of Staff General James McCorville testified before Congress that only 23% of Americans ages 17 to 24 are qualified to serve without a waiver to join, down from 29% in recent years. But it's not just that. It's that a lot of people now peep the game of what the military industrial complex is about. We have the internet. We see things. We know what's going on. That's the thing. We know. Y'all think we don't know? Post 9/11, we are already copped to the game. We're like, no. We people my age, millennials, have witnessed some of our classmates get hyped up by war and then go out to fight people in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran and get their limbs blown off, emotionally and mentally get scarred from the perils of war, while you have the Northrop Grumman's, the Raytheons, the Boeings, they got rich. While you have people who are on the board of oh my God, what's the name of that company? Dick Cheney is on the board of, I forgot the name of the company. Why? I hate when that happens. Brain farts happen to me all the time. Don't do drugs, kids. Halliburton. He was on the board of Halliburton, which is a military contractor, and he was making millions off of it. That's basically what it is. Here's the problem. You see, these military contractors and these manufacturers, what do they have to do? They have to build and create weapons and military vehicles. But they can't just make them and then once in a while a war happens and then they make more money. No, in order to keep this up, in order to keep profits going, they have to keep building and making more weapons. Well, in order for that to happen, these weapons and these vehicles need to be used. They need to be used, they need to be destroyed in the use of the United States military. So that being said, in order for them to make more money, they need wars to continue to happen. And for that war to continue to happen, guess what? They depend on the United States, particularly the CIA and other different apparatuses, in order to perpetuate these things, in order to keep them happening. So once that cycle happens, they always have that machine running. They destabilize your region. The United States says, oh, we need to go to the war and put boots on the ground just so that we can save democracy or spread democracy. Then they go abroad. Your kids die in these wars. Our kids die in these wars, or they become very maimed, bruised, and broken from these military operations. And then guess what? They just make more money off of it. So then guess what? It dies down. Then they say, we need more money. Okay, escalate more things more often over there. Then they escalate things more over there abroad. Then it happens again. And then guess what? They're like, we need more wars at different places. Guess what? They escalate things more in different regions. And so this is how it works. Because they're money hungry. Because they want more profit. And so now they see that their well is running dry. What's that well? It's young people. It's young people who are not willing to go and fight for these military, these merchants of death. And so guess what? Now they're inching closer to just drafting us, to forcing us. Well, if you guys won't fight our wars, then we're going to make you. If you guys aren't going to go willingly, then we're going to make you do it by force. And this is what they're doing. This is their last-ditch effort before they bring back the draft. Watch. Watch. They're going to bring it back. And then it's either you consciously object and then go to jail, or you fight in these wars. They're going to get your slavery one way or another. Either they're going to put you in the prison industrial complex, or they're going to put you in the military industrial complex. They're going to be at one or the other. You have no choice anymore. And that's the way they're going to do it. And you have the Democratic Party and the Republican Party both also allowing this to happen. And the Democratic Party may be like, oh, well, we don't like that this is happening. They'll say it rhetorically, but when it comes to actual actions, they're not really going to do anything to stop it. Remember, you have this stuff happening not just in red states, but in blue states. This is happening all over. It's happening especially in poor neighborhoods with black and brown kids. Because if they're not going to get you enslaved in one way, they're going to get you enslaved in another. And that's how they operate. So I'm going to share the archive version so that you guys don't have to fight through the paywall. There you go. And by the way, I'm going to show you guys the it's if you guys go to archive.ph and then in the search bar, you click the link of whatever paywall and you take that link and put it in there, then you can actually get it and look at it for free. So you don't have to actually pay to read it. So just let you guys know. So I say use it for them, but for like, well, a lot of sites that are, those of us on the left, we don't really paywall our stuff, so you don't have to worry about us. But if there's sites, those of us who are on the left who have Patreons, coffee pages, or things like that, if you read their articles and stuff like that, if you have a couple bucks, like for instance, if you go to like the Gray Zone, Danny Haifong, Margaret Kimberly, people like that, then, if you can shoot them a couple bucks their way, if you can afford it while reading their articles, because they're typically their articles aren't behind paywalls. Or if it is behind a paywall, like let's say for instance, there's a couple articles that are paid, paid subscription ones, then go ahead and do it, because that they're not part of some capitalist corporation trying to make a lot of money. They're really actually trying to take down the machine. They just have to make a living. So, yeah. But, yeah, so, always, do what you can to support independent media as much as you possibly can. Have you liked the stream? Please? Little old me? I'm wearing purple today. It looks good, doesn't it? I like it. It's one of my favorite shirts. It's pretty. So let me go to the chat. Wait, hang on. How many likes do I have so far? 63. We're at 63. All right. Can I get to 65? Someone said no. All right. So let me go to the chat really quick. Desert Manta says this works analogous to the Pentagon donations to local police departments. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Optimism of the Will says, oh, sorry. You were answering somebody. Bryce, see. Good to see you, Bryce. Y'all have a whole conversation in here. You see. Oh, Ilhan R says, Death Shaney. Wait. Oh no, Darth Shaney. Darth Shaney made billions off the war in the Gulf. Yeah. Darth Shaney. Yeah. Yep. And his demon spawn is getting praise from the Democratic Party. Are you kidding me right now? An on user says Embezzlement Inc. USA. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Reality Revolution. It's Reality Revolution is also a JB member. It says, why no worry that a company that arms both sides of a war might be partial to one side and make their weapons better than the others? Look, I'm telling y'all right now, these companies, they are giving money to both sides. Yeah. Look. That's basically like being a gun salesman. You go to one gang on one side of town and you sell them guns, and you go to their rivals and you sell them guns on the other side of town. And then whenever they try, and then so they don't talk to each other because they're rivals. So they have no idea that you're selling to both of them. And so then guess what? You're making money off of whenever they actually have a battle. And so then what do you start doing? You start whispering into their ear, hey, I heard they're going to be doing this. You might want to protect your territory. And then you go to the other side, hey, they're going to be doing this real soon. I heard you. So, yo, you better post up. Next thing you know, they end up fighting again. Guess what? They need to buy more guns from you. Boom. Now you sell them more guns. Then you do it again. Especially when it's times of peace. Hey, I heard such and such is doing this. Or guess what? You get one of your peoples to do something and blame it on the other side. If people do something, they blame it on the other side, then they go and start fighting each other again. That's called the CIA. And then they started going to war with each other again. And these wars are fought over ideologies now. So you can't necessarily kill an ideology which keeps the money train going. So yeah. Let's get some more in the chat. Oh, wait. I saw it. Okay. Ilhanor says, it's funny how Americans have to pay to get news. Funny, right? News in America used to be free, but now it's a corporation. Now, not an organization. Thanks, Bill Clinton, for the 1996 Telecommunications Act. Yep. All right. Ilhanor says CIA, or better known as the Corporate Intelligence Agency. Yep. That's the way it is, baby. So, yeah. Well, I actually got through the stream. Gosh, despite a glitch happening. Well, at least they know something's going on. I'll probably just refresh so that I can get it. Once I end the broadcast, maybe things will show up, hopefully. And then I won't have to worry for next time. But I just want to thank you guys for coming in. Hang on. I have some comments on Rockfin. Let's share the screen real quick. Oh, wait. JB, get it together, man. Get it together, JB. Okay. Get it together right now for JB. I like how I did that there, didn't you? All right. Chitty chat. All right. Let's go. All right. We have the comment from Extra Booyah. Good to see you. We got Laura is up in the chat. Laura said, save me from the Duran's guest. Oh, I have no idea what that means. That Robert's guy is sketchy. Oh, I have no idea. Laura said, I love the Duran, but some of these anarcho-puco personality types, I don't know about them being progressive. First of all, being someone who is of Mexican descent, not happy with them fleeing fascism in Anglo-capitalist countries to go and gentrify Mexico. What are you talking about? Oh, and not the Duran as an anarcho-puco types, but the guest today. He was claiming that Lula was the U.S. neocon-backed candidate in Brazil, and like Bolsonaro was the one who neocons didn't want. What? Like, I didn't have any guests on today. What are you talking about? I have no idea what this is about. Thank you for the tip on Rockfin, but I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Okay. But stay tuned. I will be on RBN Live in about 15 minutes. Also, I'll be continuing the reading for 32s by Michael Parenti. I'll be starting on chapter 5, so that's going to be really cool. Oh man, it fell down. Hang on. Chapter 5 is called Miscellany and Memorabilia. So this is going to be some other accounts that he's going to be talking about. Also, I'll be going into chapter 4 of Asada Shakur's autobiography. So I'll be going into that as well. Also, next week, don't y'all go nowhere. Next week, I'm going to be having on rapper and activist Awkward, who's also one of the co-authors of the 10 Demands for Justice. I'll be having him on same time, 2 p.m. next week. So be prepared for that. That's actually going to be a really great discussion. We're going to be talking about defunding the police on the road to abolition, the carceral state. I also would like to get his history on how he migrated to positions that he's in, his career as a rap artist. So I would like to get that conversation going. It's going to be really interesting. I can't wait for you guys to join in on that. So that's going to be really awesome as well. Also, by the way, I need to talk about this whole CIA actually admitting that they killed Kennedy. Yeah, a lot of us, especially all of us in the Black community, we done knew that. We knew that a long time ago. And now they're like, oh, yeah, we killed Kennedy. It's like, what? Y'all admit now? We didn't think y'all admit it. We knew it, but we didn't think you admit it. But they did. So that's something I want to talk about too. I gotta get up on that because that's just some crazy stuff. But I'm trying to curtail my language so it's more accessible to everybody. But anyway, so thanks to everybody who was watching. Thank you to all of you all the love and all the well wishes as well. I gotta get going because I need to grab me a snack before I continue my day, and then after that, I'm hopping off because I gotta get some more rest because I am not gonna have a day like yesterday. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Look, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. Smoke, drink, if you don't do either of those, just laugh. Enjoy yourself. Get some sleep because rest is also necessary. Joy is revolutionary. What did I forget? Oh, that's right. I forgot. Mwah. Forehead kisses to every single one of you. Wait, what? Go to bed. Make sure to go to bed early. And if you got somebody to put you to bed, make sure to do that. Holla at your boy. Hiya! Bye-bye. See you later. Get your freak on. 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 Quiet!